a CAPTCHA solve can succeed, and your workflow can still fail. That is the exact mistake so many development teams make when they move their automation out of testing and into production.
Welcome to this explainer on the CAPTCHA production playbook, reliability and error handling. Today we're looking at a critical shift you have to make to keep your system stable. It's all about moving from a developer testing mindset over to a true production operations mindset. So let's just dive right into it.
Think about it. In testing, that first run works beautifully, right? The job runs, the CAPTCHA step is handled, and everyone kind of just assumes the whole workflow is ready to ship. But then, unintended production runs face harsh reality. One job times out. Another retries way too many times. A form submission gets completely rejected even after the CAPTCHA appears to be perfectly solved. A queue slows down, support tickets start piling up, and suddenly your entire team is frantically asking, is the issue the solver, the session, the proxy, the app, or the downstream system? Which brings us to the core theme we are unpacking today. At that point, CAPTCHA handling is no longer just a developer task. It's an operations problem, period. To fix this, we need a practical, operational checklist.
Starting with Section 1, defining true success.
First up, you've got to define the real workflow. And please, do not just describe it as CAPTCHA solving. That is a massive trap. The most important question you actually have to ask yourself is this: what has to happen after the CAPTCHA step? You have to name the actual business process. Are we talking about a QA flow, an internal form test, maybe a client authorized data workflow, a scheduled job, or a growth operation? You also really need to confirm the authorized scope here. This type of workflow should only be used in owned, client-authorized, or contractually permitted environments. Before you even think about scaling it up, you need to document exactly where it runs, who approved it, who owns it, and what systems it is actually allowed to touch.
Notice the clear separation here between solver success and workflow success. This is a huge myth buster. A solved CAPTCHA is literally just one single event. The real success metric is whether the downstream workflow accepted the result and actually moved forward. Did the form submit? Did the queue advance? Did the task complete? The crucial takeaway here is that you must track both. Track whether the CAPTCHA was solved and track the final outcome.
Section 2, taming the session and retries. You need to watch your session continuity like a hawk. A session mismatch happens when you apply a token outside the exact same browser context, HTTP client, or cookie jar that originally triggered the challenge. From the outside, this completely masquerades as a bad solve. You'll think the solver failed, but actually, the initial solve was perfect. The real issue is you handed it back in the wrong session context. Which brings us to the magic number 3. You absolutely must cap your retries. Listen. Infinite retries are not resilience. They're a trap. Letting a loop run forever just hides your underlying defects, burns right through your cost balance, and delays your queues. Instead of infinite loops, you need to set up a strict retry budget. Here are the golden rules for keeping that budget healthy. Cap your attempts at 3. Use exponential backoff. Set a hard timeout, usually around 120 seconds per task. And crucially, when a terminal failure does happen, log it with useful context. We're talking the page URL, the challenge type, parameters, latency, retry count, and the downstream response. Catch the failure, give it context, and log it. Moving to Section 3, measuring what matters. Because hey, if you can't measure it, you can't defend it. These are the specific KPIs you need to wire into your systems to spot regressions way before your users notice anything is wrong. You want to track first solve latency, but look closely here. We're tracking high percentile latency, like your P50 and P95, not just the overall average. You want a P95 for tokens under 60 seconds. You need to track solver success rates per challenge type, aiming for 95% or higher. And of course, end-to-end downstream acceptance, which also needs to sit at or above that 95% mark. And notice that final metric we just looked at, a stable cost per accepted solve. That one matters deeply. If your retries are increasing but your completed workflows are not, your automation is getting more expensive without getting any more reliable. Tracking the cost per accepted workflow, rather than just the cost per solve, gives you the true financial and operational picture of your system's health. Section 4, avoiding traps and FAQs. Here is a rapid-fire list of anti-patterns. These are things you absolutely must avoid if you want workflow stability. 1. Do not test only the happy path. 2. Do not assume old request parameters still match the live page. 3. Do not treat every failed workflow as a solver problem. 4. Do not let retries run forever. And 5. Do not ship the workflow without a clear owner. Now, let's run through 3 quick FAQ-style checks to cement all this. Question 1. Is solver success enough? No! Emphatically no. A solve token means absolutely nothing if your system doesn't accept it. You need downstream acceptance.
Question 2. Testing that retry logic we just discussed. Should every failure retry?
Again, no. Infinite loops are incredibly dangerous. Some failures require an immediate stop condition and a manual alert.
And our final FAQ. In a production environment, who should actually own this workflow?
The answer is whoever owns the business workflow. It's not just the developer who threw together the initial integration script. Accountability inherently extends to operations and the business owners. So the ultimate practical takeaway from this entire playbook is this. Treat CAPTCHA handling exactly like a production reliability dependency. Define your ownership, confirm your authorized scope, cap those retries, monitor your end-to-end acceptance, and review your cost patterns long before your next queue stalls out. Which leaves me with one final provocative question for you to take back to your team today. Are you just tracking successful solves, or are you actually tracking successful workflows? Think about your own monitoring setups. Thanks for learning with me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.